Hello and welcome back to Jacob's Toys 5-minute figure reviews. Please do like, share, subscribe and all of those things. All support to the channel is very much appreciated. In this video we are taking a look at the deluxe Marvel's Mojo. So now this one did cause a little bit of controversy because they released the Pulse exclusive Mojo World set that included Mojo, Longshot and Dazzler and a little mini Wolverine bust. And then this one leaked in stores. People saw this one popping up in stores and then it opened up for general release, which obviously gave people the option of getting the Pulse exclusive one or the deluxe one. Now there was some slight differences in the colour and the shading, etc, but essentially it's the same figure with a different paint job. I decided to pick this one up first and have a look at him, and I must admit I'm not disappointed. This thing is huge. Now Mojo as a character, without going into too much detail, for anyone that doesn't know, he essentially is from a different dimension and has like a TV show kind of thing going on. You've got characters like Spiral and Longshot and Dazzler and stuff, they're all involved, and he therefore becomes quite a big villain in the X-Men lore. So Mojo is an X-Men villain and he is superb. I must admit, he is a fantastic figure. So these legs that are attached to his chair are all articulated. They go up, down, left, right, forwards and backwards. There's 3 points of articulation in each of these claws at the front. His arms are pinless and again have shoulder rotation, shoulder movement and elbow articulation, as well as articulation in the wrists. He's got these nice kind of cables that plug into his chair and plug into his arm. The sculpting on this thing is phenomenal. It's really, really well done. And the chair alone, just his chair, has so much detail in it that it's hard to not like this figure. Now the main difference is that the Pulse exclusive looks like there's a lot more detail on the figure, like in regards to the paintwork and the shading. But there's nothing wrong with this one whatsoever. This is kind of how I imagine Mojo to look, like this kind of washed out, kind of horrible kind of greeny grey colour, but yeah, he's huge. Let me just grab this is Bombastic Bagman. It's the first figure I had at hand, and you can see here, compared to a normal sort of 6-inch figure, he's massive. But that's exactly how he should be. He should be huge because in the comic books he's huge and he needs to be this kind of oversized monster. We have had a Mojo before. We had a builder figure in the ToyBiz days, and you can look here, it just looks tiny. It looks tiny in comparison. Now this was one of the builder figures that kind of stayed in people's collections. People kept him in their collections because it was the only Mojo we had and it wasn't half bad. But when you make the comparisons between that builder figure and this kind of deluxe or the Pulse exclusive box set, there's really no competition as to which one's best. You can see here, if I lift the arm, that this one really does look like it's built. It looks put together. There's quite blocky pieces underneath, whereas on the deluxe he just looks like he's spilling out of his chair. The sculpting in those little kind of claw bits in his chair and the kind of folds in the stomach just look amazing. It looks like he's kind of like spilling out of his chair, and he's just grotesque looking, let's be honest. The detail in his face, he's got a much bigger head, and you can see the details in his head right down to the kind of like the wires pulling his eyes back and stuff, and the double chin. He's just a much better figure. It is a definite upgrade, and long overdue upgrade, which makes me really excited for some of the other bigger figures that Hasbro are going to tackle from back in the day, which are coming up, but I'm not going to say much more about those. As well as what you see on screen, you get these two alternate hands, so you get kind of like, they're not open hands, but they're kind of a different claw, and you also get a different head. You get one that's got this kind of, you know, typical Mojo kind of snarling grin, like, oh, it's just horrible. It's brilliant. But yeah, I've got very little to say negatively about this figure, just because it really does meet all the expectations I had for a deluxe Mojo. Comes in obviously a windowless box, but that's very similar to what we got with MODOK. We got a MODOK, two MODOKs actually in windowless boxes, and I don't really have any complaints about that. You did have to put him together. He didn't come as whole. I did put him together before I started the video just because I was keen to get him on, and essentially you've got the head, you've got the kind of the upper torso, you've got the stomach, you've got the big bit that attaches to the back of the chair, and you've got the seat of the chair. So he does come in quite a few pieces. The legs to the chair are already all assembled and as a part of that, so it's not that difficult to build whatsoever. The chair's also got these kind of clear risers underneath, so that you can kind of create the illusion that it looks like he's standing up on his like spider legs. And I think they do what they're there to do. It creates the illusion at the right angle. They would easily disappear with a bit of light and whatnot in photographs. You could easily make them look like invisible. But yeah, overall I've got very little to complain about. Mojo is a character that I definitely wanted to see redone and re-released and updated, and I don't think there's anything to complain about. Actually, I'll tell you what, here's my one complaint. These little wires that go into his shoulders do pop out. As you move the arms around, they do pop out, but you could either glue these in if you're that way inclined, or it they don't fall out when he's being displayed. It's just when you're moving the arms around, so that's very little to kind of complain about. But yeah, it's a figure that I was really looking forward to being redone and revisited, and I think they've absolutely knocked it out of the park with this. And based on how good this one is, I think I'm going to have to get that Pulse exclusive box set now, just to see what the other version of Mojo is like, because yeah, I'm a big fan of Mojo. I think he's a great character in the X-Men comics, and I think the Marvel Legends team have done a great job with him. He's still readily available, so go and pick him up from either Pulse or any of your figure retailers. I don't think you'll be disappointed if you're an X-Men fan. That's it. Please do like, share, subscribe and all of those things, and I'll see you soon.